Welcome to this new Flight Simulator update movie. In this movie we're gonna look at how you can join the latest beta which has been released yesterday for the next sim update, which is sim update number 9. So what you need to do is you need to start the Xbox Insider program, which you see on my screen. And then if you go to previews, you will see a lot of items here, right? Including Microsoft Flight Simulator sim update number 9. Once you select it, you can press join. I must really warn you prior to clicking the join button, because there are a few caveats which you really need to take in consideration before joining the beta program. First of all, it's a beta program, right? Which means that there could be instability issues. So don't be, I would say, disappointed if you're still seeing some issues while joining this program, because that's the reason why Asobo and Microsoft release these kind of programs, to make sure that it's, let's say, ready for a big release. Second thing is that you need to take into consideration that everything which is in the community folder, but also, let's say, the add-ons which you buy via the marketplace might need to be reinstalled if you leave the program. And leaving the program does not only happen, I would say, when you don't like it anymore, but also when the program ends. And that in some cases results in a complete reinstallation of Flight Simulator being required. So if you're having, I would say, limitations for your bandwidth from your ISP, then take that into consideration, because you need to download, well, several gigabytes again if you want to leave the program, either forced, right, if the program ends, or in case you want to, let's say, leave the program because you're not happy with it. So I would say strong recommendation. If you join the program, then make a backup of your community folder so you can always easily restore it quickly after you left the program and needed to reinstall Flight Simulator completely. Well, in my case, well, I'm simply gonna join, right, because I want to see what's going on. It says here, hey, after joining, please restart the PC to receive the latest game updates. If it doesn't do it, then it will take a few hours. Well, you can press continue in that case. And then we'll say, okay, pending. And after a few seconds, it normally shows that you joined the program, which is all fine. Now, let's wait for it to, say, be completed. It's join pending, right? It takes a few minutes. Then it opens this program. All nice. And then you will see, hey, there's an update available. Right, so the, I would say, reboot, which is required or recommended by this text, is not, I would say, strictly required, because you can already see there's an update here. And if you click the update option, it will simply start downloading that update, right? So there it says, hey, there's an update. Then we'll show, hey, I'm downloading in progress, right? I'm gonna click it. Then it will download the first 1 gigabyte. Keep in mind that if you downloaded that 1 gigabyte and then installed it, that's the first part which needs to be installed. As with all normal world updates and sim updates, there's a second step, right? Because this is only the first step which needs to be updated, which updates some main components which are required. With this, the version will also be updated. So let's have a look what has been, I would say, added. And to do that, we need to go to flightsimulator.com. Right, so let's do it. And then if we go to the community folder and go to the forums page, you will find a new section here which is called Sim Update number 9. Sim Update number 9 contains the beta updates and also the release notes. So let's have a look at it, what has been changed. Well, first of all, there's a new Spotlight event landing challenge in the Cessna 172, and it's landing at Kingston Airland in Nevada. And then there's a second one, which is the CFD simulation. It's now available on a Cessna 172 Skyhawk G1000 and can be enabled by aircraft creators. Right, the CFD simulation, that's a new simulation which they announced earlier, I think a few weeks or maybe a few months back. And that's now available also for aircraft creators, right? So if you're developing your own aircraft, you can do that. Then if we look at points 3, 4 and 5, it all has to do with stability, including preventing crashes, ensure that the performance is correctly, and there was I would say, a parsing error on the XML gouges on the Xbox, right? If you played on the Xbox and you saw some weird things happening, that should now be fixed. Navigation traffic, the AI traffic will no longer get expedite requests. The ILS can now be received when the aircraft is slightly below the antenna, and that changed the way we handle several ILS on the same frequency. So also some optimizations, both for the navigation but also for the traffic around you, right? Then we've got the weather. They fixed the popcorn clouds, fixed, and it says fixed popcorn clouds are present over clear sky in the live weather, and they fixed something with the reduction of clouds banding that appears at close range. Properly save and load cloud density from WPR files, right? The WPR files are the recording files, so that's now also being corrected. So if you say continue or record a flight and then I would say rewind and then replay, it should be good. Then they made a change for the way the text-to-speech is being handled. So they changed to Azure Neutral or Neural Text-to-Speech technology. Well, let's see what the differences are. And they fixed the attenuation distance in cockpit for AI sim objects using legacy wave data pipeline. Not sure what this is, but it looks like that it's only for AI sim objects, which used, I would say, an older pipeline. Activity. Yeah, that was one of the things, right? Recently there was a new option introduced to store files in the cloud, but there was no way to delete them. Well, that's good, because now you can also delete those cloud stored flight files. And there's a fixed extra flight saved after landing at an airport after continue. Okay, that's nice. And they fixed the Lukma no hands achievement. So there was an achievement which was having some issues. This has now been fixed. So if we go further down the list, we see plenty of fixes in planes, right? It has both to do with icing not working correctly. It has the capability to send multiple arguments to the JS views. That's probably more for the developers. Rename the cameras. They fixed the empty CG position, right? If it did not reset correctly. They added missing input for nav 3 and 4 to match navigation 1 and 2. A lot of interesting fixes here, which were reported probably by a hope of us, so that's good. Then the F-18 Hornet, you can see that there are still a lot of fixes for that aircraft. I would say more than 30 fixes, including corrected behaviors, but also fixing issues like the wheel contact points, the HMD color gloss. The 787 contains some minor fixes, and the 747, the same is valid for that one. 5 fixes for this one. They fixed the to-go button effect on the autopilot, and for the 787 they also fixed some issues with buttons like the STD button, which was not working correctly, and also the CDO flight planning flow, which prevented users from choosing a star. Okay. Then we've got the A320neo. The Neo had some issues with the alpha protection, which is now being fixed, and also the autopilot maximum altitude to be too high. There was an issue with that. In some cases, when the ATC reports that, validate if your barometer settings have been corrected, because if you didn't set your barometer correctly, you will not, I would say, fly on the correct altitude. And when you press the B, right, which also resets the altimeter, then it will normally, I would say, correct itself. Then we've got some new cool things for the Cessna G1000. They ported a new propeller system, also a new propeller system, besides the CFD simulation. So 2 new things for the Cessna 172, probably the most popular aircraft, which a lot of us are using. And they adjusted the engine wash and roll to have the left turn tendency experienced in real flights. Also, they fixed some flap sections which were incorrect, and they updated the model to match the real recorded data behavior. That's for the flight model. Then both the 28B and the Beechcraft 350 contain some minor fixes, right? Specifically to certain systems which were not working correctly. Jumping down to the Cessna Citation CG4, also some fixes, even with the add to display switch, but also corrected a few small bugs with switches. And their TBM 930, they improved the throttle feeder animation. Velocity, there was an issue with the attitude hold button, which is now being fixed. and the last two aircrafts, the Diamond DA-40NG and the Cyrus SR-22, both have let's say issues fixed for the lights, which were correct. The Diamond has also a camera fix, and it had some issues with textures being flickering when the frost is activated. And they added a co-pilot view in the SR-22. Then, looking at the world map, they also made some updates for the vegetation debug tool. So that's specifically for if you're debugging it. And there's a new office being added. It's the Asobo office, which has now been added to the plan. So a point of interest being added as part of a sim update. Really interesting. Then there's several UI enhancements in-game panels, which did not longer be distorted when changing the screen ratio. I'm not sure why you want to change the screen ratio, but maybe there's a valid reason. And the wish lists are now sorted based on the date that you added, right? There were a lot of, let's say, marketplace changes, including, I would say, wish lists which you create. But now the most recent one is on the top. The marketplace one showing the generic purchase and download pipelines error anymore. Okay. And to see the all rating filter added to the rating filter, so you can also filter on the all ratings. On the marketplace, an item's required space is now displayed before downloading. This is really handy, right? Because all those updates and all those marketplace items are really nice, but it will cost you this space. And I would say some of you might already hit some barriers with it because this space was, I would say, not enough anymore. Then for peripherals, the Tobii, the eye tracker, several announcements there. Also for the Thrustmaster TCA Boeing throttle profile. I'm not going too deep into that. And some fixes for the multiplayer. The remaining list of items has all to do with, I would say, development. So I would say it's really nice to see that they spend serious time, and hopefully developers can now continue their development or enhancing their flight, their aircraft, and their third-party tools using these nice items. So that's cool. So in the meantime, let's have a look to see if the update was already downloaded. I can see it's downloaded, right? It's now bumped up to version 1.25.4.0. So let's hit play and let's see what happens. If it works, then it's good. But then again, we probably need to download some other updates before we can really start, let's say, trying this new beta update of sim update number 9 already. Sim update number 9, right? That's already, I would say, a huge number. So let's see if it works. In some cases, it will take some time, but it went pretty quick, right? So it will do its normal, let's say, introduction of movies, and then we'll start checking for updates. Then we'll probably find another update. And if it will find another update, depending on how big the size is, I'll probably pause the recording and we'll continue, let's say, when it's back. Okay. This is cool. The one in the cloud. I want to use it. So that's it. So this pop-up, right, to explain it. If you play on two machines, it could be that one profile is more recent than the profile you have on your machine. In those cases, you will have, let's say, a kind of a clash, and then Flight Simulator points you and say, hey, what do you want to do? Do you want to use the profile which we stored in the cloud, or do you want to store the profile which is stored on your local machine? This is the second one, right? The second one will show us, okay, what do I need? Well, it needs 8.2 gigabytes. So let's hit update. If you want to see the release notes again, you can press the V from Victor, or you can simply press it here. And then you will see the same release notes, hopefully, as on the blog post or on the forum article we just showed, right? So it's installing 4.2 gigabyte required. So that's not, I would say, too much. You can see it has started in the background. And while it's downloading, right, let me show you one thing else, because that's also really important. If you're participating in, I would say, beta testing, then make sure that you also, I would say, fill in the surveys. Those surveys will, I would say, help Asobo try to figure out how it's working. You can see that there are currently only, I would say, 4 surveys being posted. One for VR, one for crashes, one for installation, one for marketplace content. So if you open it, then you will get a question, and then you can provide your feedback there. In addition to that, if you go back, you will see the release note testing. So they did some testing with the release notes, right? So based on that, you can select an item and you can provide your feedback on this, right? So it says, okay, hey, release note line, correct an issue which prevented the toggle free look button from working while in the free look. Is it fixed, yes or no? And then it will you can provide some comments. Besides that, there is the general discussion, of course, the aircraft systems, a lot of feedback already being provided, including, I would say, some installation enhancements or feedback. And that is, I would say, applicable to most of the most of the categories or most of the parts of Flight Simulator, right? Weather and live weather. Interesting title. The user interface, the install performance and graphics, the crash to desktops, the hardware and peripherals, the aircraft and systems. So that's good. So let's see how far Flight Simulator is or the download is. Well, it goes pretty quick, but it still needs to, I would say it's almost at 50%. But let's pause recording and let's continue recording once it's back. And we're back. The update has been installed, and as you can see, there's already, I would say, a change here, right? Kingston, Nevada, that's the current Spotlight event, which has been added. So there are already some people trying it out, right? So you can see other people are also participating into this beta. The thing I'm missing here is, I would say, the direction or the arrows, which are normally displayed. Normally you see the arrows, right? Including the indication of the speed you need to fly, etc. But those are not here, but that might come when we press fly, but let's not do that for now. So the other thing they added is the, I would say, office of Asobo, right? So Asobo, then we probably need to go somewhere to Bordeaux, and in Bordeaux we will see, hopefully, I was expecting this one to be, because normally these are the new ones. We don't see a custom one here, so probably it should be somewhere here. Maybe they didn't mark it as a point of interest, but somewhere around Bordeaux there should be the offices of Asobo, right? So if you found it, then let me know. I also will have a look at myself because I'm pretty curious how it looks like. Other than that, first of all, no, I would say indications of the changes, right? If we go to the marketplace, as mentioned in release notes, there are some changes, right? Especially in the section where you can wishlist items. So the wishlist items, if you got any, then it will be ordered in the, I would say, from latest item you added to the wishlist to newest, so that's good. Also, the other items have, I would say, updated a bit, right? You can now filter on all ratings. So if you say all, then you have the ratings, and then you say any rating. I do think that it was not available. First of all, I think it was only rating 1 to 4, but that's good. Other than that, I don't see, I would say, huge changes here, to be honest. Including not in the new one. No, there are no changes here. So that's good. Really nice to see that they are continuing to enhance these, I would say, items. So let's see if we find something in the options menu, because sometimes there are some hidden options which they didn't describe in the release notes. Well, we're gonna go quickly to them. I don't see much here. In some cases the cockpit has changed. Maybe the accessibility. Let's have a look at the sound. It all looks like pretty default, right? So this also still is Azure, because it looks like they only changed the, let's say, method they're using, but not specifically an option here, right? You can still go to offline or Azure. So I'm always using this one. I like it. So not other options here. Then the traffic, also not a lot of changes here, right? I decrease these options, I would say, to optimize the experience in Flight Simulator. Data hasn't changed that much. There's nothing here which, let's say, that's good. Flight tracking reset day. I'm not sure if this one was here. Data tracking reset day. Sets a day of the month to reset the tracking data. But that's only, I would say, applicable if you are bound to a limit. And luckily I'm not bound to a limit. Then the flight, which has been set to modern. Not too many new things here. Also, due to, in this scenario, developers mode is off, and then we've got the VR mode, so not too many changes here as it looks like. So other options probably didn't change too much also, so I'm not gonna go to them, but I will probably record a separate video about that if I find something which is there. So one thing to always check is if there's an update available after you installed the sim update, right? Just like with normal updates. And to do that, you can go to your profile folder again, then go to the content manager, and then you will see in this case there are 4 items which are updated, including, interesting, an update for the world update number 8, which was the latest world update, and some updates for the, I'd say, deluxe and premium package if you bought it, and the vessel score library. Well, this one I don't expect it's caused by the hotfix or by the sim update. The other 3 might be updates, so that's, I would say, good to see. Once you're happy with it, I would say simply either select all or select the ones which you want to install, and then select download again. And then you need to wait again because it will download, I would say, 5 GB, so it will take some time. So here ends this video. In this video we looked at how you can join the, let's say, Sim Update 9 beta program. We showed what the installation steps are. We looked at some initial changes, although they were not, I would say, looking, let's say, pretty, I would say, massive compared to Sim Update number 8, where they changed the world map and the marketplace, but some nice updates over there. And I showed you that you need to make sure that you install the optional updates. As late as we went to the release notes, and there were pretty, I'd say it was a pretty long list with a lot of interesting, interesting is probably the best wording, interesting changes in this sim update. So if you want to participate, simply follow the steps I took. Take things into account which I mentioned at the start of this video, right? Make sure that you've got a backup of your community folder. Be aware that you might need to reinstall Flight Simulator completely. Those are the things which you really need to take into consideration prior to joining. So again, here ends this video. I hope you liked it. If you liked it, then press the like button. If you got questions or comments, then feel to post them in the comment box below. And if you want to stay up to date about new videos I'm posting, then make sure that you're subscribing to my channel. Thanks for watching and see you next time.